what are the legal issues around cheating on your 3 business partners and your wife? Welcome back to Wine and Chill. I'm Stephanie, your favorite recovering lawyer, and today we're going to talk about the legalities around the Try Guys scandal. As you can see, we are having water and chill today, so if you're drinking some wine, drink some for me. Our agenda. First, a brief background as to who the Try Guys are. If you are like me, I did not hear about them until a couple of weeks ago when a few of you asked. Specifically, this video is for Latoya. If you ever have any requests, feel free to DM me on Instagram at Wine and Chill, and it will automatically go on my maybe list and potentially we'll cover it. Second, what are the legal issues around cheating on your 3 business partners and your wife? The employment law issues, the contract law issues, as well as the intellectual property law issues. We're going to spend the bulk of this video going through those. So the Try Guys started in 2014 on BuzzFeed. They make lighthearted Wonder Bread videos. There are 4 of them: Keith, Ned, Zach, and Eugene. Ned is the source of the legal issues that we are going to focus on today. He is also known as the wife guy. In many, if not all of the videos, he references his wife, Ariel. And we're not going to get into why it is absolutely abhorrent to embarrass your partner in this manner and break their trust. There are plenty of videos on that. We are going to focus around the legalities of Ned's actions. So a bit of background about the Try Guys and their company. The Try Guys actually started on BuzzFeed in 2014, and in 2018 they branched off to make their own YouTube channel and their own touring business. However, BuzzFeed is still heavily involved in their business, which we'll get into a little bit later when we get into a little bit of the corporate law and why that matters in terms of who owns their intellectual property. Now, again, very wholesome videos, very much family friendly. Think Let's Make an Eclair, Let's Make Thanksgiving dinner in 1 hour, things of that nature. It was very shocking to not only their fans, but their sponsors, as well as others, when last month it was disclosed that Ned was having, in his own words, a consensual relationship with his employee. I put that in air quotes because that's a mess, and we're going to specifically get into the employment law issues around that.
Throughout this video, there will be things that we want to say or go into further, but as I'm sure you're aware, there are some legal issues we have to consider as we go through everything.
On Labor Day weekend, multiple fans alerted us that they had seen Ned and an employee engaging in public romantic behavior. We reached out to check on that employee. Ned confirmed the report.
When I first heard about this case, my first thought was, oh yes, employment law investigation first and foremost. That was my first job. When I got out of law school, I did employee relations at this famous jeweler. And honestly, basically employee relations is looking into all of the wild things people think are appropriate to do at work, which you would be surprised. You would be very much surprised as to how far people take it. There are usually entire departments in large corporations dedicated to employee relations, full of JDs as well as practicing lawyers. Specifically, the remaining 3 Try Guys, when alerted last month in September about this legal issue, because it is a legal issue, immediately hired a team of lawyers, as you heard them say, as well as HR professionals. They consistently in their video reference this as a review of what was going on in their workplace. It's specifically an investigation, an employee relations investigation to be exact. And I understand, in keeping with their brand, they wanted to make it sound a little bit nicer, but this is not an end of year review. Important to note that the 3 other Try Guys claim that they didn't know and maintain that they did not know that this behavior was occurring. Because this is YouTube and I want this video to be monetized to pay off my student loans, we are going to talk about on the screen harassment. The only times I've ever used that word and the word harassment, the video has been demonetized. Specifically, what occurred was very unbalanced one-sided power dynamic where you have the employer, which is 1/4 of this multi-million-dollar entity, engaging in behavior with an employee. Whenever an employer crosses that line with an employee, it opens a lot of legal issues, quid pro quo, as well as potential hostile work environment, and depending on how you act after it is known, retaliation. So quid pro quo is essentially where you do something in return for something else. In the context of employment law, quid pro quo comes up when there is harassment that occurs, and as the employee, you state, well, it's my boss, so yes, I felt coerced into doing these favors and to continuing this relationship of sorts with them because I need my job. It's a recession. Now, it's important to know, and what I find, it would be so disheartening if it wasn't so unoriginal, which is a lot of people in the discourse of the comments saying, well, it takes two people to tango. How many people, when potentially threatened or inferred that they may lose their job, do act outside of themselves, which is the underlying of what may have occurred. And I say may specifically because we've only ever heard Ned's side of the story. And by heard, I mean this statement that he decided to put up, which he states, family should have always been my priority, but I lost focus and had a consensual workplace relationship with his employee, which he casually left out. I'm sorry for any pain that my actions may have caused to the guys and the fans, but most of all to Ariel. Whenever people say, I'm sorry for the harm I may have caused, boo-boo, you caused the harm. The harm is caused. The deed is done. The foolishness has occurred. The only thing that matters right now is my marriage and my children, and that's where I am going to focus my attention. On top of quid pro quo, which since law school I've always had to say that very slow, there is a potential hostile work environment claim. Now, reference back to where I said the remaining 3 Try Guys have adamantly stated they did not know. This has allegedly been occurring for a few months. They never saw it, they never heard about it, it was not brought to their attention. If it is shown that they indeed knew, there is then a case by the employee to state, they all knew, no one helped me, no one said anything. Also, it's important to note, consent is not a one-way street. You can consent one day and the next day say, absolutely not, don't want to do it. Which is what sometimes happens in these workplace situations where something may start off as, okay, I suppose. And then when one person tries to take it back, the person in power states, no, I like our arrangement this way. And again, even initiating anything with your employee is grounds for foolishness. After the investigation occurred, after it publicly came out, the Try Guys decided to remove Ned as an employee as well as a member of their corporation. We're specifically going to get into the corporate law section of it in a second, but just to note that. The other end of the investigation, which was not disclosed, was essentially that the employee in question did keep her job. However, it is being speculated, emphasis on speculation, on the internet that she may no longer be employed with the company. I highly doubt that they fired her unless they are completely dense, as that would be a huge retaliation issue. She may have left. There's likely a severance agreement in place. Up until now, which is the filming of this video on October 24th, she has not released any statements or posted about the situation. Now, on to contract law. I spent the majority of my legal career as a corporate transactional attorney, negotiating software deals, entertainment deals. I used to work in entertainment before I worked in tech, and dibbling and dabbling into employment law. When you are the sole in-house legal counsel for a startup, you see a lot of unnecessary employment law issues. In entertainment, you may have heard of morality clauses. It comes up in the NBA and the NFL frequently when players are often caught doing things they shouldn't be doing. Morality clauses came about in the United States in 1921 at the detriment of one Roscoe Arbuckle. Roscoe Arbuckle was a very famous actor in silent films. Unfortunately for him, he was accused of manslaughter. After 2 deadlocked juries and the 3rd jury, he was finally acquitted, even though all along there wasn't much evidence supporting that he actually did anything wrong. However, fueled by the media and the public surrounding his case, many theaters refused to play his movies. Ultimately, the studio lost millions of dollars. So for that to never happen again, they decided to insert morality clauses. 11 days after his arrest, on the ground that he was locked in a San Francisco jail and unable to report to work. The next day, Universal, who's still around, wrote a morality clause into its contracts mandating non-payment to performers who forfeit the respect of the public, and other studios followed. Morality clauses are essentially everywhere in entertainment as well as sports. I would say sports is a subsection of entertainment. Morality clause is a contractual provision in a talent contract, and a talent contract is an employment contract. A talent contract would state, if you do anything that causes we, the studio, the brand, the corporation, to look bad, you do anything to make yourself look bad, you engage in what we solely deem unilaterally to be reprehensible behavior, we're firing you, we're breaking our contract. It is a get out of this contract free for a lot of brands to use, and we see it being enforced year after year. The courts uphold that morality clauses are fully legal. Bringing up morality clauses because essentially what has occurred since Ned's ousting, and what some internet viewers have realized maybe occurred before his public ousting. Ned's picture, his face, as well as his appearance in some videos have been removed. This is likely because in his contract, he likely has a morality clause. If you cheat on your wife and embarrass us all, goodbye, good riddance. I don't care that we've known you for 10 years. Which brings me to my next question of who owns the intellectual property for the Try Guys. Intellectual property is the intangible property that is inherently there in creative work such as copyright, trademark. Now, the Try Guys brand is owned by Second Try LLC, so the IP is likely owned in whole by Second Try LLC instead of each individual Try Guy. From what I could gather, Second Try LLC is a multi-member LLC instead of a sole member LLC with at least 4 members. And I say at least 4 because there are 4 Try Guys. However, there is likely to be a very loud and very invested 5th member, which is BuzzFeed. Every member is essentially an owner, and then a manager is someone who manages the operations. Most likely the 4 of them are member managers, as they do or did handle all of the operations of the business. Originally, Try Guys started on BuzzFeed, and BuzzFeed, when the Try Guys went off to do their own solo project in 2018, did put out this press release stating, hey, we're the 5th Try Guy. We have a special partnership. So I'm sure BuzzFeed was not too pleased at Ned's foolishness and Ned essentially ruining their investment. Which this makes a lot of sense as to how the Try Guys were able to leave BuzzFeed, which is a corporation, and keep their IP. They have kept the IP somewhat, kind of. The specifics of that are likely to be found in their articles of organization and in a separate contract, which of course is not public. It's important to note that Ned was a member, aka an owner of Try Guys, of Second Try LLC, but according to the Try Guys has been removed not only as an employee, but also as a member. So he is no longer a part of the company whatsoever. Which leads me to what likely occurred, which is his buyout. As we stated, many of the videos of Ned have been removed, but not all of the videos. An interesting IP question to which I don't have the answer to, how would the revenue share continue to work? YouTube operates on an AdSense model. If a video, they've been doing this on YouTube now since 2018 for the past 4 years, since they haven't removed all of Ned's videos, which I would assume that they're on their way to doing. That would take some time. I'm sure they don't want to lose the money from all of the videos. It would be easier to buy him out and say, hey, your stake in our company was worth X amount of, I would assume, millions of dollars. Here is this, good riddance. Please leave us alone. We're just trying to go do happy, wholesome, colorful things without you. Keeping the videos up with Ned would mean the revenue share would continue, and they would likely have to pay Ned out for using his likeness. Because he's no longer a member of the corporation, that means he's no longer an employee, so the salary is not getting paid. So the removal of Ned specifically in the videos is likely twofold and solves 2 problems. 1, Ned is philandering and ruining their very wholesome brand. And 2, figuring out revenue share with someone you have essentially broken up with is very awkward. Who wants to keep paying somebody that you don't want to speak to anymore? When I checked the channel last, Ned is still in some of the older videos. Either they fully bought him out and said, hey, it doesn't matter if this video is evergreen and every year we make $10,000 on this video, we're not giving you any more money, or they have a continued very awkward revenue share. There are a lot of multi-person channels, specifically family channels, young couple channels, Try Guy-esque channels. It is important when you set up these multi-person channels that you delineate a prenup. You are essentially in a business marriage with this person. So what happens if you break up with them, they break up with you, or you guys decide, like Destiny's Child, that one of you is the Beyonce and the rest of you need to do something else? Important to solve and to think about these issues in the beginning, because once you get to the end, it's most likely uncomfortable. I would assume with the swiftness that Ned and his foolishness was disposed, that this was already in all of their contracts, that they had already set something out. Hey, just in case one of us decides we're not doing this, or we act a fool and ruin the brand reputation, this is how we're getting rid of you and getting out of it. In conclusion, as usual, it never pays to philander around on your partner, whether that be business partners or your spouse. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe and let me know what you'd like to discuss in the next video.